where we've just met Diego, who's the wine expert there. So it'll be a demystifying wine workshop. So we'll be better understanding Portuguese wines, getting to taste some of their selected wines and enjoying the get together. Then from 8 o'clock, we've got a group dinner happening at Frida, which is a very cool Mexican restaurant in Porto. And come along for that. We're going to enjoy some Mexican food. It's very modern with the twist. It's very, very exciting. So we've got pretty much the whole restaurant booked out. So come along for that as well. And we'll be staying at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Porto. So if anybody wants to come and stay there as well, there is a link on the event page on the calendar website, but I will share it during tonight's session as well. And then Sunday we might get together and just hang out. So it's kind of make a weekend of it. If you don't live in Porto, it'd be great.
Yeah, it sounds very special, doesn't it? World of Wines and the Crown Plaza. It's proper 5-star weekend by the sound of it.
Yeah, not quite 5-star, but it's good. But it's very reasonably priced.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so Crown Plaza and a traditional Portuguese Mexican food. They say you can't get decent Mexican food in Portugal, or some people do. And this is a legendary place, is it, for Mexican?
Well, I haven't spent a lot of time in Porto, so I can't say whether it's a legendary place. But
we're going to find out. We're going to find out.
The website looks pretty amazing, and it's a Mexican chef and Portuguese a couple. So they've if you read their bio on their website, they've spent quite a bit of time in Mexico and met in Poland. So interesting.
Some international flavors there. So that's set to be a fabulous weekend. Check it out on the Expats Portugal website, expatsportugal.com, of course, under the events tab over there. Right, let's get chatting to the Dream Team panel this evening. And it's been a while since we've seen Luis Duarte from GIR, from Global International Relocation. So if we may, let's start with you, Luis. It's lovely to see you back here. And I'll ask each of, it's been a very difficult week, obviously, and a tragic week in some ways here in Portugal with the wildfire situation. So I'll ask each of the Dream Team members to share their experience of that as well, and how it was in their part of Portugal, and hopefully things have calmed down in your respective parts of the country as well. But Luis, let's start with you and GIR. How are you? It's been a while since I've seen you. It's lovely to see your face on the Dream Team panel again.
Yep, I've been going around a lot, so I'm finally back for a little period. But yeah, it's very, very good to be here. So in the international moving side, it's interesting that these type of things that are happening in Portugal as well kind of affect us as well, right? Because we need to go on the roads and stuff to deliver things. So fortunately enough, we have not had any problems with that. But it's just a very, I guess Portugal every year has these type of situations. But it was just very, very unpleasant. From my office, I could see like 3 or 4 fires around this area, in the Sintra area. So
yes,
but hopefully it's going to be over soon, and let's just hope for the better, right?
Well, that seems to be the direction of travel, thankfully. Bombeiros have got it under control. The climatic conditions have improved a little bit, so the wildfires we're not so susceptible to the wildfires starting. And you can keep an eye on that, fogos.pt, of course, and IPMA for the longer term forecast, and look at the weather and the climate, ipma.pt as well. So make sure you've bookmarked those two so you know what's happening, and you can be aware and prepare in the event of this terrible week that we've had in Portugal from that point of view. I'm glad to hear everyone's safe and well at GIR then, Luis. And it sounds as well like you've remained busy. Lots of people toing and froing from Portugal. Interest from your point of view in Portugal hasn't lessened at all by the sound of it.
Well, I can sense that this year, with some uncertainty around the world, we did have a kind of a slowdown, compared to last year or the other year before.
Okay.
But it's not like diminishing at all. Like it's still propelling, to say. We see a lot of people wanting to still come to Portugal. I have been in the US 2 times in various states, and we have had tons of people that do want to come to Portugal and have the interest to come to Portugal. So yeah, it's not losing the the advantage of what we have here, right? So a lot of people are interested in coming to Portugal still.
Very
indeed.
good. Glad to hear it. And you can help people move both ways, of course. You help people move from as well as to Portugal, and you can find Luís and team GIR in the Expats Portugal business directory. Thanks very much, Luís, for being here. Let's go to Sarah now, because Sarah Davies, Spartan FX, is here, and it's always an interesting time when we're looking at interest rates being cut, raised, or holding. Just to use some poker terminology, what's going on then with the Fed and with the I was going to say the Church of England? At the moment, the Church of England aren't deciding the interest rate, although that could happen.
Well, I don't know what their forecast is.
Bank of England. Right, Sarah, over to you then for some FX news.
I think it's what we've said before. We're looking at, obviously, they've been looking at the data closely about the inflation figures, and they want the inflation figures to come down enough so that they can cut interest rates, because that would be better for the economy. I mean, over the sort of last 2 years, they had been aggressively increasing interest rates, and now they obviously need to come down, but they're not willing to, or they haven't been willing to do it until we've had more consecutive data to show that inflation is falling closer to the targets that they have. Now, the Fed have come out and have cut interest rates slightly more aggressively than anticipated. The other thing to bear in mind is that, you know, we talk about timeframes. Some people might be early stages, some people might need to make payments shortly. And I think the thing to bear in mind is looking at, really, if we're looking at selling US dollars and buying euros, what's happened really over the last 12 months, that we see peaks and troughs with data coming out with, for example, the interest rate cut this week. It has weakened the US dollar. But if we look at the last 12 months, really, we've seen the rates moving against customers that are selling US dollars and buying euros. So while you might not be in a position, or might be thinking, well, it's not the right time for me, I've still got months ahead of me, 6 months, 12 months to my journey to Portugal. If we sort of follow this trajectory, then your euros could be more expensive in the future. And that's why it's never too early to be looking into this now, even if you haven't got payments to make, because it may be that you can take advantage of any spikes in the market. So, for example, if we see, them putting the rates on hold when we expect them to cut them, that might be more positive for the US dollar. Things like that we're bearing in mind. But overall, we could maybe make those euros cheaper for you and just help you budget for the future payments.
Thank you for that. And get in touch with Spartan FX, open up your free account on details you can see to the right of Sarah on the screen there. Thanks for that analysis, Sarah. So that's some way of sort of mitigating any volatility, is to have a chat with the team and protect yourself a little bit in advance.
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. And your experience, you're new here in Portugal. I remember when I was first in the country, it was a very bad year for wildfires, and it's absolutely terrifying to come here as a foreigner if you haven't grown up in a culture where there are wildfires. As Luís said, this, something that happens every year, and thankfully not to this extent, generally speaking. How has that been for you as a new arrival here in Portugal?
Well, we saw something, I think maybe about a month ago. There was some fires here, because I'm Lisbon near Cascais, and we saw wildfires, and you could see the smoke in the background. It is sort of further away, but actually, obviously, with winds or whatever, it can move quite quickly. So it is a worry. But it was interesting seeing sort of, we watched the planes come to the water, drop down, pick up the water, take it back. And you could, there's different apps. You can see the firefighters. I mean, there was like 400 firefighters trying to fight this fire. So the resources that they have and they're putting behind them obviously makes you to feel better that hopefully they can deal with them quite quickly.
Yep, and there were 5,000 operatives, I think, that work at a given time when at the worst of this week's wildfires here in Portugal. So keep up the good work, Bombeiros, and please support your local Bombeiros with supplies, water, cereal bars to keep them going, energy bars, and anything else they might want. Pop into your local Bombeiros station, and if they're not too busy, keep out of the way, of course, and see what you can do to help them over here. They're always grateful for donations of things, of the water and the cereal bars, but you can also donate money, and you can make that part of your tax return each year as well. And you can become a member of your local Bombeiros association, I believe, as well, which can give you some benefits as well as helping them out too. So thanks, Sarah, for that. Let's go to Nuno now. Nuno, good evening to you from Winsurance. How's it going in the world of insurance, which I'm sure is shaken by what's gone on with the wildfires in the country at the moment?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Yes, so insurers and brokers, we have been and we keep being very busy regarding claims due to all the fires in Portugal. Luckily, insurers have created special lines to attend their customers and to make the indemnities faster. But one point that usually people forget is that in case of someone is considered guilty of the fire, you can activate also a special cover that usually exists on the property insurance, which is legal, proteção jurídica, that in that case you can issue and request some indemnities amount. So
that's if somebody makes a case against you of some sort of negligence.
No. This is the case that until now, I think that the authorities has 74 people considered possibly guilty from the fires.
Okay.
And if this is confirmed further, so they could be, the word is not fined, is not issued.
Or prosecuted.
Help me, Daniel. Yes,
Prosecuted.
prosecuted.
Yeah.
So, and the people that get some loss of their goods, they can try to get some indemnity for these people. This is in theory, because actually I don't think that these people have some sources of money or financial funds. But well, just keep this in mind. If this is the situation of any of you, just let me know, because this is not something that usually brokers handle with.
Okay. All right.
Consider this as an advantage of being members of Expats Portugal.
Good. Okay. That's helpful. In a difficult week, it's nice to get a little bit of a bonus like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else to say from the world of insurance?
Yes. Two little points. So a big portion of WeInsurance's time is to assist customers in special regarding healthcare and to the English-speaking community. And we just hired a young person that worked for a couple of years on a very well-known hospital in Portugal, in Lisbon, and she is used to handle with everything related with hospitals, healthcare, and insurances. So this is something that I think that it will add value to you. And just one information, which is, we know we have this information today that is roughly, so despite the increments of the health insurance in January, roughly 11% of the insurance premium to people over 60 were financed for people under 60 years old. So be in mind that this is the reality. It's not about if the increase was huge or not. This is the reality. Okay?
Thank you. I heard a couple of benefits and bonuses for Expats Portugal members there, and that little bit of a caveat at the end there. Thanks, Nuno. So any questions about insurance, just come back to Nuno this evening for the Dream Team session up until 10 o'clock tonight. Michael, I will come straight to you. Yours will be the first question tonight. Let me just introduce Daniel, if I may, from Rezen Pelicano. Daniel, good evening to you. How has your world been in this tragic week for Portugal?
Well, good evening. Indeed, has been despairing to see the images in TV. I've been staying around Lisbon, so I haven't traveled up north. But the pictures that everyone is sending from roads and from highways, it's mind-boggling.
Yes.
But I just got some encouraging pictures sent from my mother. She is in Fatima region, and it started raining over there. So it started to rain in central Portugal. I hope that the rest of the north of the country does have a bit of rain, and the fires will not propagate anymore. So it's a bit of good news. Hopefully it carries out, because the wind, the prevailing winds are usually from the north, but the winds that we were having were coming from Spain, and there were really dry winds and hot, and we were having hot days. And this, it's a combination of our forests not being as kept as they should, and Portugal being a hot country, and some people are just criminals, but put fires up, and this is something for the justice system to act upon. And in some other instances, it's just people that are working in the roads or that are cutting bushes, and they create fires by accident. So it's really the cause of the fires is a mixture of unfortunate events and criminal events. But I do hope that the criminal justice system in Portugal just acts upon these situations, because it's people have died already. So it's
right. Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Daniel. And what else is happening in the world of law? Are the lawmakers back at work yet?
They are discussing the budget, and what the main fight at the moment is the people in power. The government wants to lower taxes for companies and for people under 35. People under 35 are Portuguese people, especially, are leaving the country and exploring other options around the world, especially in the EU. And this is targeted to keep those people in Portugal. But there's an ongoing fight on that situation. And the other topic is to lower taxes on companies. And the opposition is not too happy on that as well, because, well, if you cut on if you cut on the income, then you'll need to cut on the expenses, and the current government is not telling the population where they're going to cut, but they would need to. If they do cuts on one side, they'll need to do cuts on the other. But that's the reality from politics at the current moment. The other things that are eventually being discussed is, I don't think that this will have a lot of traction, is abortion laws to pass from 10 weeks to 12 weeks. But I think it will remain the same, that I'm not expecting a lot of changes. But yeah, back to normal, back to political activity and to laws being discussed in the parliament.
Okay, thank you. And are you in San Martín de Porto this weekend for the triathlon?
Unfortunately not. You told me about that triathlon last time, and I did miss it, but I'm just training lightly nowadays. Instead of when I was training for Ironman, I was training 10 hours per week, sometimes 12. But now I'm doing 3-4 hours per week, so I've toned down a bit, but I will resume eventually, probably next year, I hope.
Well, fair enough. If you're not doing it this weekend, I won't either. But we'll check again next year. All right, thanks.
I envy Danielle on that.
Oh, really? How about the three of us? How about 3 of us next year? I don't know. Hopefully.
That would be awesome.
Okay, Luis, thank you very much. Right, Michael, thank you, Daniel. Thanks, the Dream Team this evening. We do not have Gilda with us. Gilda sends her apologies this evening. If you have a question about visas, there is a new facility on the Expats Portugal website where you can basically, you can send a message to the Dream Team members, and that's the best thing to do this evening. If you have a visa question, go to the website and send that straight through directly to Gilda. And we got a thumbs up there, I think, for our triathlon efforts from Astrid. Maybe Astrid's going to be joining us as well next year. This is amazing. Team Expats Portugal, possibly. Right, I will come to, and Sarah as well. I think we should start with a fun run, though, not maybe an Ironman. Okay, we'll come back to all the comments and the questions in the chat after we've gone to Michael, who seemed very keen to be asking a question from South Carolina. Michael, are you still there?
Yes.
Sorry to keep you. Go ahead.
Hearts and prayers and thoughts and prayers go out to the people that are affected by the fire. I just read about it this morning. The question I have is renters insurance, is that prevalent in Portugal? Is that something that you can get in Portugal?
I think we missed a bit of your question. What was the first part of that, if you don't mind repeating?
No, I wanted to say that we are thinking about the people who are affected by the fire.
Yeah.
And I hope that everybody's okay. And my question is about renters insurance.
Renters insurance. Okay, got it.
Right. Is that something that's available, or how does that work in Portugal?
Could you tell us a bit more, Michael, about what you'd be expecting from a policy of that kind? And then we'll go
it's expecting protection of all of our items, or if any of our personal items that were damaged from a fire or from a flood or hurricane or any type of natural cause.
Oh, okay. So contents insurance for you whilst you're renting a property. Nuno, can you help with that?
Well, Carl, you translate very well because, yeah, you are a pro. So in Portugal, we call content insurance, not renter's insurance.
Okay.
So and yes, it's available. It's a very easy. Just send us an email, and we'll start from there.
So really,
It's
it's
easy.
regardless of whether you own the property or you rent it. It's just the insured person is insuring their contents regardless of the status of ownership.
Correct. There are some limitations, but let us see what we are handled with, and on 98% of the times, it's pretty easy to do it.
There you go. Thanks, Nuno. Michael, is that everything for you?
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. And thank you for your concern and comments about people here in Portugal as well. Derek's joining you. We send our thoughts and prayers to all the people affected by the horrible incidents in central and north of the country, to the families of the firefighters and all people who've suffered loss of property and life. That's from Linda and Derek in the Algarve. Thank you, Derek, for that. Connie's with us tonight with a bonite from Gaia. In Porto, of course. Benoit from Setúbal, from Matthew. Thank you for being here. Debbie, who is in Coimbra, of course, drinking Tawny Port, I think, taking inspiration from our webinar, our earlier webinar this evening, which was wonderful. Greetings from the Algarve from Paul. Good to see you here as well, Paul Richards. Thanks for being here tonight. And from Ohio. 24 degrees centigrade, a pleasant 24 degrees. Greetings from over there from Tom. Good evening to you, Tom. Thanks for being here tonight. Debbie, on the matter of supporting your local Bombeiros, I learned how to join. I think it's called Friends of the Coimbra Bombeiros, and I'm joining it tomorrow. So let us know how that goes and how easy that is to do, Debbie, if you don't mind as well. And thanks, Dream Team, for working in the chat as well. Sarah's put the contact details for getting in touch with Spartan, as I'm sure others will do from the Dream Team tonight. Rain, yes, thank you, Daniel, for that, passing on the message from Mum there. Rain, our hope is for a lot of rain all over Central and North. Thanks, Daniel, for the news from your mum there. Send her our best regards if you get the chance as well. Nuno, you had a further comment about COVID vaccines as well that will be available soon, I think.
Okay, so I was texting to Debbie, but well, this way I'm going to answer. It's easy.
Right.
So in Portugal, the large majority of the vaccines are controlled by the public system, and this is the situation of flu and COVID vaccines. We know that Portugal has 2 million vaccines for each of this disease, and to have access to them, we must receive an SMS from the SNS. Okay.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
To notify us that we are eligible to get a shot of the vaccines, which we can get, or people over these ages can get on the public healthcare system or at the pharmacy. To people over 85 years old, it's restricted by now only to the public healthcare systems, but the pharmacies and the authorities, they are managing these in order to provide the shot also at the pharmacies.
Okay, so wait for your SMS from the SNS. I like that.
Yes.
You make that part of their campaign, possibly. Very good, Nuno. Anything else you want to add to that?
No. Thank you for the question, Debbie.
All right, there you go. And also, let's stay with you. Fernanda is here. Here in the US, would like to email Nuno regarding private healthcare insurance in Portugal. If you've got any questions that you want to share, Fernanda, about that, please pop them in the chat. We would like to find out how to begin the process, even if I'm not living there yet. I think you're on the right lines there, just asking for the email. It's iamsafe@winsurance.pt, but it's a very straightforward process, isn't it, Nuno, as many people in this community have discovered.
Yes, it's pretty easy.
Okay.
Pretty easy. Send us an email and we start from there.
Very good. Thanks, Nuno. Thanks, Fernanda, for that question. We've got Pedro, who's joining us, maybe who's opened a bottle of college wine this evening. We were talking about that earlier on, that phrase, college wine. What are you drinking tonight, Pedro, if you don't mind me asking? Denise as well, thoughts and prayers for those affected by the fires. We have these in South Africa as well, especially where I stay, and it's frightening to live through. It's been truly horrific this week to see what can happen with that. Hope it rains hard. Yes, absolutely. We're praying for rain here. And Debbie says, I bet every area has the Friends of the Bomberos. You've put the link in very kindly for us, a Facebook link there, Debbie. And I think you're right. If you search Bomberos locally or Friends of, you'll probably find it, or ask somebody in your local community. And maybe you want to share that on the Expats Portugal forum as well. I think we've found a way out of the triathlon, guys, for next year. According to Yoda, there is no such thing as a triathlete. There is a do athlete or a do not athlete. Very good. We're off the hook, Luis. Hey, thank you very much, Debbie, for that link. That's wonderful. That you found the actual Humanitarian Association of Volunteer Firefighters of Coimbra. That's wonderful. Cheers. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Feel free to pop your digital hand up or ask in the chat this evening, and we'll make sure those questions get to the Dream Team this evening. Let me pop over to YouTube. We're streaming live on YouTube as well. Squire of the Shires is over there. And it's a very good evening to you. So a bit of a quiet one, it would appear, this evening. So if you've got any questions, yes, as I say, pop them into the chat, and or if you're over on YouTube and you'd like to ask a question, send it in from over there. I think we've made this evening a pineapple-free zone, but we'll see how that shapes up for the next 30 minutes of the Dream Team session. Fernanda, thank you for your question. Also, investments and savings that I hold here in the US. The exchange rates aren't the best right now, and I keep checking with banks as I would like to transfer some funds to Portugal. Is there another website that is legit where I can check the exchange rates on a daily, weekly basis? Is there someone at Expats that I may speak with regarding this question? I think perhaps, Sarah, you could pick that up for us.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we can keep you up to date with that. We've got graphs on our website, but if you speak to one of the team, they can keep in contact with you regularly and let you know the rates and try and, as I said, the rates are unfortunately been moving against you, but we will watch out for these obviously peaks and troughs and try and get the best rate that we can for you.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I was taking a big sip of tea there from my Bordalo mug. It doesn't come out so well on the green screen, but I've got my cabbage mug there. You won't believe what they've just done in Caldas de Rainha. Probably not best for me to mention with family viewing here on the Dream Team session of Expats Portugal. They've taken the Agada umbrellas and taken them to a new Caldas style level, should you be in the town. Cover your eyes, Mildred. Right. Thank you very much for that question, Fernanda, and thanks for taking it, Sarah. Whilst we're waiting for more questions, can we hear a little bit more about next week's webinar, please, Astrid? I think this is going to be fascinating. We've got the top brass from Tamar joining us.
Yes, Jerry's been rubbing with all the right shoulders up in Tamar, and we have the members of the council who are going to come on board and give us an update on why Tamar is a great place to live. We're going to be covering schools and hospitals and shopping and health and safety and crime and all those topics. So if Tamar or Central Portugal is somewhere that you've got your eyes set on to move to, or you're already living in Portugal and you're keen to move there, or you're already living in Tamar, come on board and join us, and we'll discuss the wonderful world of this ancient city.
Fantastic. And I think we should encourage more of that. If there's a town or city you would like us to invite the top brass from, or if you know them and would like to point them in our direction for another city or town special, I think we should do more of those, and I think they'll be very interesting as well too. Right, we had a question over on YouTube. I have heard that there is a new NHR scheme being discussed. We might go to you for this, Daniel. Is this just one of those social media rumors, or is there a new NHR scheme being discussed? Does anyone have any information about that? I'll start with you, Daniel.
Not that I'm aware of, but Pedro may have something up his sleeve. But this was not discussed at all in the news, so I'm not aware of anything. But I'll pass the ball to Pedro.
I think Pedro Franco, go ahead. Good evening to you.
Hi, Carl.
And forgive me for not introducing you earlier on.
No problem, no problem. So this people call it the new NHR, but it's this new regime has been passed on last year by the previous government.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the
old regime.
People call it the new NHR because it's easier to. It's like a nickname. So, but it's not in fact a new NHR. And one of the main big differences is that pensionists, so passive income people, so people with D7 visas, for example, will not benefit from this regime. So only the working people, so only people with professional activities which are eligible as value-added activities, and this list was not yet published by the government. So we are still waiting for this for a long time now. But I guess now with the budget of next year being discussed in Parliament, I don't know if this will be the best timing for the government to publish this list. So there is a new regime.
Yes.
But the regime is not fully operational, and it's not for pensionists. I think this is the most important information for our viewers, maybe.
The Emperor's new NHR, possibly.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, but thanks for asking the question over there on YouTube. And that was that was Joseph. It's not the new regime that has already been passed. It's a new tax regime that has not yet been passed and is currently being discussed. Have you anything more to add to that with that particular angle that Joseph's brought in there, Pedro?
Sorry, I didn't follow the question.
The additional question was, it's not the new regime that has already been passed. It's a new tax regime that has not yet been passed and is currently being discussed. So is there anything official on tax regimes, or is this just rumors?
No. This regime is official, is in place.
Right.
So it's already been published. It's in force, but it cannot be operationalized yet.
Okay.
So it will be in a few. I guess it will be in a few months when this comes out. Then it can be operationalized throughout the taxpayers.
Okay, it's all about the budget, isn't it, when it comes to Portuguese politics? And I'll come back to Marcelo's wishes on this, because there's a news headline on that, and Daniel may have a comment on that. But I think, Paul, you might have something to add about the NHR.
Yeah, it's interesting, Carl. I went to a meeting, a conference this morning in a little place called Quinta de Loba in the Algarve. Quinta de Loba is probably the most expensive area in the whole of the Algarve. And the conference was talking about the so-called new NHR,
right?
Mark II.
Yes.
And it was interesting for me because not only that, you go to these conferences, it's always a selling job. They want to sell you a property or whatever. And to give you some idea for the people who do not know the Algarve, the average price of these wonderful apartments and villas started around about 2M to 28M, where M is millions.
How many did you put a deposit on, Paul? Is the big right?
Well, the interest for me was not what they were telling me, but the people who you actually met while you were at the conference, who obviously they were some owners or possible owners.
Yes.
The general consensus that came across was these are people who are extremely rich. They can live anywhere in the world, yet they choose unanimously to live in Portugal.
Very good. Good to know that, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's reassuring that even at the top end of the scale, where they could do whatever they want, they still want to come and live in Portugal, which is, normal people like ourselves, if they seem to know what they're doing.
Yes.
So come on, if they know what they're doing, it's got to be good for us too.
Very good. Thanks for that insight, Paul. Hobnobbing with the rich and famous in the Algarve. They're probably saying the same thing about you right tonight, aren't they? I met that Paul Richards guy from Yorkshire in the UK. They'll be telling that story too. Thank you, Paul. Much appreciated. And thanks for the TV coverage as well in the background there. Alex is asking the question, cheers, Paul, is there possibly a chance at some point to hear the old NHR tax considerations benefits? I think there might be quite a few of us who would be interested, especially those members who only recently obtained the old NHR. Pedro, it's probably best that those people get in touch with you, right?
Yeah, but I can get, please get in touch with me and I will, in a very detailed way, clarify all the advantages of the old NHR. But let me just point out 2 or 3 advantages. So one of them is you can get a 10% taxation on pensions, and there is a possibility that pensions are not taxed at all in Portugal. Okay, this is one of the big advantages.
Yes.
The other one is regarding professional activity. If it's eligible, so if it's in the list of high added value activities, such as engineering, software development. Those kind of activities will be taxed at a 20% flat tax rate, regardless of the amount of your income. And the third big advantage is exemption of taxation on income of foreign source. Okay, so many people have income, passive income from their home country, and this can be exempt in Portugal. So these are the three main vectors, the three main advantages of this regime. That's why it attracted so many people. It was so important for. This was in place in 2010 when we had the global financial crisis, and Portugal was in the need to attract skilled people to work, because many people left, many Portuguese left the country to work somewhere else. And this was the program to attract really working people, and also pensionists who could somehow contribute to the recovery of the country through their spending. So, but now this regime is ending, as you know, and the new one is not the same. So.
Do you think we should get some T-shirts and mugs made and badges for people to say, "I got the NHR"? I mean, it's like a survivor's club almost, isn't it? For those last few who are coming through.
No, unless you want to wake up the rage in the other Portuguese people.
All right, let's keep it quiet. You could just
I pay the double that you pay.
Yeah, okay, just smile smugly in the supermarket. Let's leave it at that.
But the subtle way as possible. So.
All right, yes, okay, just smile quietly to yourself, and you were lucky to get that. And quite the success, really, then, seriously, though, Pedro, for the Portuguese economy, right? Which included Portuguese people who'd been living abroad.
Yes, because note that the working people that come to Portugal, they also pay social security. So even though if their taxation on personal income is very low, they still contribute to social security, which it's of benefits to everyone who depends on social security benefit. They spend money, so they pay also VAT through their expenditures. So this is a very important source of income. And don't forget that many of our city centers were really old and in a very bad shape. And because many people came to Portugal and invested in real estate and in houses in the center of the cities, this has also contributed that our cities now have very beautiful downtown areas and historic centers. So we tend to look sometimes only to the disadvantages, but there was a lot of advantages. So I'm a strong defender of this regime. So
very good.
I think it was a mistake. It was a political mistake, what they've done. So.
Very interesting. Yes. Okay. And on that note, talking of political mistakes, I mean, I'm not referring directly to the president, but there seems to be a lot of. Thank you, Pedro, and thank you, Alex, for asking that question. Daniel, Marcelo, it says, I've got a news headline here. Marcelo wants elections if the state budget falls. So could you explain that to us? Why the budget is so important in Portuguese politics? And we really don't want more elections, do we, in terms of a signal to the rest of the world about confidence?
No, I would like to have some peace and quiet for a few years, hopefully.
Yes.
Although election time is interesting, but I'd like to have some peace and quiet. Well, it's important because if the budget doesn't get approved, the government doesn't have a tool to govern. They cannot allocate money to the places where they think it's relevant and important. So basically, they will need to govern with the old budget divided by 12. So the budget that was already approved for 2023 will be cut in 12, and each month the government has an allowance to spend 1/12 of the total budget of 2023. But this is not a good tool because, well, inflation comes 2024. This budget was approved by the old government.
Yes.
So it's a mixture of things that it would be highly useful to have the budget approved. And the other thing is, well, the Portuguese political system nowadays has three blocks: has the center left wing, the center right wing, and the hard right wingers with Chega. So those are the three main blocks in the Portuguese parliament. And we don't know if we go into the elections if eventually the extremes will gain more traction. And usually a country has more confidence if the center is ruling and not the extremes are ruling. So new elections, it will not bring more political stability, and I don't think that the center has anything to gain with it at the current moment. So we might as well just not have new elections for the time being and run the full term. That's usually 4 years in Portugal. That will be my wishes. And regarding the Marcelo's or opinion on the topic of the budget, he is being consistent because he told that before. Yes. When the old guys or the people in power were there before. He said exactly the same thing. If we have no budget, then we'll have new elections. So he's just being, for the time being, consistent. He sometimes has a track record of not being as consistent, but with that he has been consistent. So nothing to point fingers at. I think it's a wise and sound position. And
in a way, it's kind of carrot and stick. You know, it's like, we don't really want another election, do we? This is what, if you can't agree among yourselves, we don't really want that, do we? I guess
it's a way of creating some leverage, some political pressure to have the two main center parties to struck a deal and to find some common ground. That's basically what he wants.
Thank you for that insight, Daniel, on that political situation. We're going to go back to Alex, who's had a couple of extra questions further to the NHR question. Pedro, can you elaborate on these, because they might be interesting for other people as well? If I open a self-proprietorship business in Portugal, is tax 20%? It's not as straightforward as that, is it?
It's not straightforward, but the answer is yes. So if, for example, if you are an engineer and you work as a professional engineer, you can open a company where you are the sole proprietorship. Sorry for this, not an easy word. You are the sole partner of the company. Okay, so this company will be taxed on the special regime, which is called the pass-through regime. So it's a transparent company. Like in the US, there are S Corps and LLCs, single member, that have this regime. So this means that the profit of the company pays personal income tax instead of corporate income tax. And in that case, if the activity is like engineering, software development, or if you are a medic, you will pay 20% on your IRS on this profit from the company. So the answer is yes, you can benefit from the 20%. As long as the activity is eligible, and as long as the activity can be subject to the pass-through regime.
Very good. Thank you, Pedro, on that. And another quickie. Yeah, absolutely. That's brilliant. And another quickie from Alex. Also, 10% on pension for the old NHR. That can hopefully be eliminated if I paid my higher taxes in the US on my pension. Is that correct as well?
It depends on the type of pension. So if... let me explain. Private pensions usually are taxed on the residency states and not on both states. This is what the convention between Portugal and US clearly says. But there are some reserves. There are situations where the US can still tax their private pensions. So if that happens, you can get a tax relief in Portugal. So if you pay 11% in the US, you get a tax relief in Portugal. And if the tax rate is 10%, you end up paying nothing in Portugal.
There you go, Alex. That might be a way to do it. So get in touch with Pedro on that. And you can see the email address, pedro.franco@aimigrant.pt. Thanks, Pedro, for that. And thank you, Alex, for your questions. Great question from Michael, which I think we'll come back to. as our concluding question this evening about Isstal. That's a great question, and one we can also take to the community forum at expatsportugal.com. We'll stay with you though, Pedro, because Denise is asking a question. I'm a pharmacologist and run a company specializing in drug and medical device development and life cycle management for international companies. My income is derived from international clients. Would this be considered under the highly skilled category and therefore special regime tax rates? That could be a nice little turn up for the books for you tonight, Denise.
I have to check. It depends on the activity. So if the activity is to buy and sell, so let me read again the question. So specialize in drug and medical device developments and life cycle management for international companies. Well, I need to understand what does the company really do. If it's a consultancy company, so it's like a service provision, or is it a company is it a business that buys and sells, no buying and selling? Okay.
Consultancy,
Specialized advice. Yes, a consultancy. So I will have to check if pharmacologist is under, I'm not sure about this. So, because, for example, medics are considered highly valued activities on the list, but for example, dentists are not.
Okay.
Psychologists are not. Sorry, dentists are considered, but psychologists, no, dentists are not, and psychologists are not. Sorry.
Yes. No problem.
I have to remember this by head, and it's not easy. So I'm not sure if pharmacologist is or not. I can check, but if Denise would contact me, I can give you this.
That would be great news for Denise, but yeah, you need to get in touch with Pedro to make sure that is actually a category that's available, and it is a medical specialty. So that's looking better and better for you, Denise, but have a chat with Pedro tomorrow, perhaps. From doctors to professors now. Thanks, Pedro. Thanks, Denise. Prof Stalika says, Tamar is the second best. This is over on YouTube. Tamar is the second best place to live in Portugal. Can confirm that. I don't know what the first is then, Prof. And also the Expats Portugal Porto meetup will be excellent. Looking forward to seeing you all there. So maybe it's Porto that Prof Stalika is promoting tonight. Then good evening from Florida from Donna. Never intended to offend. Good fun only. I'm not. We missed a chance to be offended. I didn't even know you had offended us, Donna. Was it about the pineapples? Maybe earlier on in the earlier webinar. None taken, none caused at all in good fun. So Donna, thank you for being here tonight. I think that's everybody over on YouTube. Oh, just Jess with a bon nuit to you, igualmente, to you there. And on another theme completely. This is where we can turn our attention, I think, to Setúbal, as it might be called by foreigners, but Setúbal, whatever it's called, and people refer to it differently during the same sentence sometimes, so it is very confusing. Before we go there to that, and Luis, you do have some insight here. We helped Fernanda with insurance, then we helped with currency. Should Fernanda want to move her belongings to Portugal, she could use GIR with you. Could you just detail for us, because we haven't had GIR on the Dream Team for a little while. What is it you can do for people moving their belongings from the United States, for example? How much can you do for people, basically?
Well, nowadays we do actually quite a lot, and there's not a lot of people that want to just take the whole house with them today.
Right.
So we are doing a lot of groupages actually coming to Portugal. So a lot of people just want to bring a few items, you see, and basically we are grouping everything in a container and ship it over to Portugal, and then let's say distribute here to all the people. But yeah, we can support you with any part of the moving side, so we can help to move house of goods, cars, legalize the cars as well. We do that here in Portugal, so kind of like a integrated service to say. And then we do the pets transportation as well. So we bring our fellow family members, right, to come to Portugal as well, and we take care of them. We have vets in house to say, and we help basically to get all the process together. And then we'll be able to support you, especially to understand if you are eligible to be exempt of taxes and duties or not. So everyone thinks that moving house of goods is something that it's for free all the time. You know, that's because it's used goods, because I have them for 10 years, 50 years, something like that. And so we naturally think that we just are going to bring the items and there's nothing to it, right? But in the end of the day, if we don't actually do the move in the proper way, we might be able to pay taxes and duties. So it's very, very important to do it in the right way. Yeah.
So there you go.
So
Everything, including the furry family members, can be brought over with GIR to Portugal.
Everything related to logistics. That's what we do.
Yep. Wonderful. Thanks for that. Yeah, Fernanda says, I do have a lot of furniture. Thanks, Luis. I have sent things overseas before through a company in Newark, New Jersey. Consider GIR for those belongings, and check out the whole Dream Team panel. Sounds like there's a lot of great expertise there for you, Fernanda. Thank you for joining us this evening. I just need to say to Donna, really, no offense was caused at all. Sorry if I sounded a little bit terse. I love pineapples, especially Azorean pineapples, which is eaten now. It's gone. I think this little card that came with it still smells of fragrant Azorean pineapple, the best in the world, I have to say. So Donna, absolutely no problem. And sorry if I sounded a little bit grumpy earlier on. That was not my intention at all. And pineapples all the way, especially Azorean ones. Right, in the last few minutes then of tonight's session, it sounds like we've got a little bit of a conversation to have about Setúbal, as you might say if you're a foreigner. We're going to find out how to pronounce it correctly for one thing, and any insight we have, because there are some interesting comments here tonight. Michael would like to connect with anyone who lives there from our community, and thank you, Matthew, for actually stepping straight up and offering help. That's how it works here with Expats Portugal premium members, and you can have that conversation on the forum as well so that others can enjoy. But thank you so much, Matthew, for reaching out to Michael. And feel free, Michael, if you want to unmute and ask any particular questions. But Luis has what? Family over that way. And how do you say it, Luis?
You say it's Setúbal.
Oh,
so
that was one I didn't include.
Right. Yeah, Setúbal. Well,
right.
But the guys, we call them sardines, right? They speak in a very funny way. So we have two types of people in Setúbal: the Charrocos and sardines.
And
which is
Marinho? Which one is he?
Well, you see the guys that speak with R's, they will press on the R's a lot. They say that's why they are called Charroco. They say sardinha instead of sardinha. You see, you know the word sardine.
Yeah,
sardinha.
But did anyone hear a difference there? Yes, okay.
Yep.
Portuguese had a difference.
Right. Daniel did for sure.
What I heard, Luis, it's like, you know, when you're talking to your dog and all your dog hears is rah, rah, rah from the human being. You just said, from a foreigner's point of view, some of them say sardinhas and the others say sardinhas. That's what we heard.
No. That's so funny. Yeah, but well, they just press on the R a lot. But that would be another conversation.
Sardinhas, possibly there. Jose Marinho.
There you go.
All right, fair enough. Now I got it. Would you recommend it to Michael with your family history there?
Setúbal? Oh yeah, I still have family there. My siblings live there. My mom lives there.
Right.
I love Setúbal. I was basically raised there since I was 11 till I was, well, I just moved to Sintra 3 years ago. So yeah, I lived all my life there, basically, all my teenage years. Setúbal is a wonderful place indeed, and it's a communist city, so has its challenges to say. But
you know what? That's a question that's come up because Alex, I think, has been terrified by seeing hammer and sickle flags, and we perhaps need to clarify that when you have a communist town in Portugal or a communist city in Portugal, it's not quite the same as it being in Soviet Russia.
No, it's not like that. The only thing is that when you have that type of politics in a town, like usually it doesn't progress way too much. So it's been like progressing now more. So yeah, I see Setúbal like progressing quite a lot in the last few years. And you see Troia on the other side that has progressed a lot as well. So it's an amazing place. It's a bit like the hill Rábida, used to be more free today. Today is not free anymore. You have to go on a bus to go to the beach. Like when I was a kid, I would just get my bike, go there, or with a car. It would be just easy to do it. But today, everything is becoming hard to say in Setúbal. But it's a beautiful town, very good people, wonderful fish, wonderful food, generally speaking, and at a very fair price. So I
There
like
you
it.
go. Couldn't say better than that. And maybe you can bring someone along. We'll have our Tomar webinar next week. Maybe we'll have a Stubal one another time. So you say it Setúbal and you pronounce it Stubal. I said what I'm going to go with tonight, if I may. Daniel, do you want to add something to that? You were getting involved in the political aspects of it being a communist city.
Yeah, I started laughing because, well, there's a little joke on people on the north side that we usually call Stalingrad to, or Stalingrad in Portuguese, to the south side of Lisbon. That will be Setúbal in the vicinities. It had a really communist tradition back in the day in 74 and 80s. Because, well, communists were a part of our revolution and there was a lot of factories in that region. So they had a strong tradition. But nowadays, as I said in the comments, they are in their way out because the majority of the communists, well, they're old and, well, age gets to anyone. That's basically what I was trying to explain. So the communists are not coming. They're not taking your children. They won't take your pets for sure. Don't worry about that. It's just a part of the folklore.
Well, okay. Thank you very much, Daniel. Sarah, have you been to Stubelgrad?
Haven't yet. It's on the list.
Right.
Haven't been yet.
All right. So that's a brief answer from you. And as you can tell, there are some great attractions. If you take your binoculars, you might be able to see George Clooney on the other side of the water on the Troya Peninsula, where I believe he has a home as well. So another attraction.
Someone was actually telling me about it this week, about the ferry that then you can get across.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does it go to Comporta? Is that right?
Yep.
Well, it goes to Comporta, yes. It goes to that the area that you have. What do you have there? Like
Dolphins.
how do you call them?
Dolphins.
No. Like things ruins. It goes to the ruin part. You know, the Roman ruins there.
The ruins.
That's what it goes to.
There you go. Dolphins, George Clooney, and ruins. I mean, this country's amazing, isn't it? Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Sarah. Pedro, do you have anything to say about Setúbal?
Yeah, no. My family had they tried to make an investment in the year 2000s, and it took like 10 years or 15 years for the city hall to approve the license to build a warehouse. So this is what they are meaning about being a left-wing city hall. I don't know. It took too long, so we gave up this investment in Setúbal. So I guess Setúbal has been very quiet in the last 2 decades. So, but now in recent years, I guess also due to the tourism, because you have also Troia and Comporta, which are the very famous beach areas, and the boats. So the port of Setúbal, you cannot get a slot for a boat, a small boat, in the port. So it's completely full. So I think it's a good place to invest and to go to live in, because in maybe 5 or 10 years it will be a very interesting city, I guess. So.
Great to know. Thank you for that insight as well. I guess if you're wanting to start a seafood warehouse, waiting 15 years, the stock might perish in that time. So they thought better of it. Unless it's bacalhau. Maybe bacalhau improves with age. I don't know. Thank you, Pedro. Nuno, finally then, Dream Team tonight, are your thoughts on the place we're talking about? So I don't have to say it again.
So first, don't worry with the image of Stalingrad, because the Communist Party and the Bloc de Esquerda, so left to Communist Party, maybe they are at this moment a species in risk of extinction, because they didn't get not even 7.5% on the last election. So don't worry with that. And also they are not so fundamentalist as like Russian people could be. And regarding Setúbal, which is much more good to talk about. Yes. Yeah, I love the city. The city. It's the city for reference to look to see dolphins. Also in Tejo in Lisbon, but Setúbal has a different species of dolphins. The beaches are very different from what you are used to see in Lisbon or Nazaré, so up north Lisbon. So I definitely recommend Stubble. Oh, and by the way, it has a huge green area that if you are planning to do hikes there, be aware that every single year people get lost there. And
Right.
GNR needs to go and search
really?
where they are.
Be
Yes.
careful on the Stubal Trail then. In that green area. That's the Boy Scout speaking. You be very careful. Or take your Kendall mint cake and your distress flares and your mobile phone and your GPS. Thank you, Nuno. We are a minute past. I didn't realize there was going to be so much to say about Stubs. So thank you very much, all of you, for that. Fantastic Dream Team session. I think we know what's going on next week. Astrid, any other housekeeping before we leave tonight?
Go.
Oh, we need you unmuted as well.
I can't help myself, and because we're a close-knit group here, Jerry and I will have a very exciting announcement for everybody at the end of the month. So watch this space.
Oh,
I'm
you tease us. So okay.
Yeah, I can't help myself. It's on my mind, and I'm so excited. And yes, it's going to be brilliant. So when it's all official, I'll announce it. But watch this space.
Okay, Nuno might know, or he's excited about it anyway. No, he doesn't know.
No one knows.
Nobody knows. Okay, let's see if we can go to work on the forum and see if we can extract that from Astrid or Jerry before the end of the month there. And thanks for that recommendation, Matthew. Alsassa de Sol, definitely recommend and second that. Beautiful picture that you've put into the chat. Thanks, everybody. Sorry to keep you for that extra couple of minutes. Dream Team, thank you so much. And everybody asking questions here on Zoom and on the YouTube, thank you very much. We'll see you again next week at 9 and 7:30 for the webinar. Take care. Bye for now. And bye.